was Marjorie Taylor Greene playing armchair insurrectionist in front of a group of New York Republicans. Wow. And by the way, that you could tell from the response, they loved it. Oh, taking arms up against the government. Yes. Yes, we loved it. Especially based on a fake narrative of voter fraud. It didn't actually happen. Yeah. Wait, I thought you guys cared about freedom and democracy. Doesn't sound like it. Now, she added this, quote, I see that's the whole joke, isn't it? They say the whole thing was planned, and I'm like, are you kidding me? A bunch of conservatives, Second Amendment supporters went into the Capitol without guns, and they think that we organized that? You know, Proud Boys had weapons outside the city in like a hotel room, right? But okay, all right. So, sure, they didn't have guns, but they actually did have weapons like flagpoles and makeshift spears and hats, and one guy with what was it? Zip ties to, take hostages like Nancy Pelosi, or even like, I don't know, Mike Pence. Remember what they were chanting? Hang Mike Pence. But I'm sure it was hang my pants. Because that's what you do when you, rush into the Capitol building. You're just looking for a dry cleaner. That's it. Okay, but anyway. So understand, though, her implication in saying this. She's not saying January 6th bad. She's just saying, if I were there, if I were in charge of this, if I had actually planned it, it would have been much more violent. Yeah, for the Trump supporters, what do you think would have happened had that actually happened? You think they would have held the Capitol building? No, they would have been obliterated. But again, it was already incredibly violent. Beating police officers, and again, I'm no fan of, but Capitol police officers were beaten with flagpoles and makeshift weapons, and there were people that died, including one of the rioters. Okay. And yet, here we have Marjorie Greene consistently downplaying what happened. And by the way, it's the same kind of thing where, we downplay the Capitol riots, but also we're going to say that entire cities were burnt down during the BLM riots, which again, the Black Lives Matter protests were 93% peaceful and no cities burnt down. There was like an Arby's. By the way, apparently they had the meats, and that was too much for some people. Like, there was damage, by the way, during the protests, but there's also a ton of damage to the Capitol building. But they want to ignore that. They absolutely want to ignore that. But that said, when it comes to the left, do you think that if the left had attempted the same thing at the Capitol building? I mean, for example, okay, look back to the 2016 election. Had the left went and tried to stop the peaceful transfer of power from Obama to Trump, what do you think the right wing's reaction would be? Oh, murder them all. Oh, yeah, National Guard, get in right now and shoot everyone. Would carpet bomb the place. Destroy them all. You know it. You know it. That said, Marjorie Greene's speech was not the low point. Oh no, it actually gets worse, because understand this is a gathering of some of the worst people, and I don't mean Kanye, because I don't think Kanye was there, but it wouldn't have made his presence wouldn't have made it that much worse. In fact, you have the NYCRC president there, who by the name of Gavin Wax on, wax off, okay, who told the crowd this. Quote, we want to cross the Rubicon. We want total war. We must be prepared to do battle in every arena. In the media, in the courtroom, at the ballot box, and in the streets. Okay, so look, for me, if you want to fight in the media and have a battle of ideas, that's great. I'm game. Battle of ideas. You want to fight in the courtroom? I guess. Sure, you have the right, to file lawsuits and things like that. Okay, great. You want to fight at the ballot box? Well, we do that every single time there's an election. Perfectly fine. I have no issues with any of those things. No problem with those fights. I love doing a battle of ideas. Then he says, battle in the streets. What do you mean by that? Do you mean peaceful protest? He didn't say. He didn't say peaceful protest. Here's what he did say. Quote, this is the only language the left understands. The language of pure and unadulterated power. And that right there is just massive projection. Look at the state of the left wing in this country. The progressive left. We can't get childcare passed with an 80% approval rating. We can't get things like a public option, much less Medicare for all. The state of the left in this country is a disaster. We have no power. We have absolutely no power. President Biden crushed a labor movement involving rail workers who are just fighting to get a couple of sick days. They have none. They have none. The left is not in power. The left is nowhere near power. The government is basically 4 corporations in a trench coat. And you want to talk about, it's the only language the left understands. No, we don't have any power. The government is 12 corporations. But then again, the far right has gone so off the rails that they're all there talking about insurrection. They're actually doing it on January 6th. And look at the people that Marjorie Greene is palling around with. At the 5-hour event attended by Hate Watch, this is from the Southern Poverty Law Center, white nationalists Peter and Lydia Brimlow of VDARE, the white supremacist movement, hobnobbed with Steve Bannon, a former Trump advisor and White House official, Donald Trump Jr. also in attendance. Then you had, of course, an Austrian political party founded by World War II era Nazi party members. They were there. Jack Posobiec, Josh Hammer, the new right-wing opinion editor of Newsweek, were in attendance, and so many more. In fact, here's part of that report. Republican speakers repeatedly voiced an anti-democracy authoritarian ideology. Again, projection here, right? When it comes to the right wing calling the left authoritarians or anti-free. White nationalists such as Brimlow, VDARE, and leaders from extreme far-right European parties like Alternative for Germany, whom German officials had placed under surveillance for their ties to extremism, and Austrian Freedom Party, the FPO, ate and drank in the same room as newly elected Republican congresspeople such as Long Island and Queens-based George Santos, Georgia-based Mike Collins, and Florida-based Corey Mills, as well as, of course, Don Jr. and Marjorie Greene. Now, after this speech, the White House issued a statement. They were not happy with this. Quote, it goes against our fundamental values as a country for a member of Congress to wish that the carnage of January 6th had been even worse, and to boast that she would have succeeded in an armed insurrection against the United States government. Would not have. The White House Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates said in a statement, adding, this violent rhetoric is a slap in the face of the Capitol Police, the D.C. Metropolitan Police, the National Guard, and the families who lost loved ones as a result of the attack on the Capitol. All leaders have a responsibility to condemn these dangerous, abhorrent remarks, and stand up for our Constitution and the rule of law. Marjorie Greene then responded by saying, guys, do you just not understand sarcasm? I was just being very sarcastic. Here's her quote. My comments were making fun of Joe Biden and the Democrats. Of course, because, that's what you invoke January 6th to make fun of Democrats, where people died. Great. Who have continuously made me a political target since January 6th. Claiming that Democrats and the media have lied and smeared my character for the past 2 years. To think that we have only known Marjorie Greene as a congresswoman for 2 years, it has been the longest 2 years of our lives. Christ. But as far as smearing her reputation, I think that she did a pretty fine job of that herself. The White House did not force her to go speak at a white nationalist convention with Nick Fuentes. And then when people point that out, like, hey, did you know that person was a white supremacist? Do you know that person was a neo-Nazi? She gets defensive and goes, how dare you point that out that I went and I don't know who that guy is. And then Trump went on to then have dinner with him. Oh, I like that guy. I like what he's saying. He gets me. He gets me. Really? No, of course he does. Because Donald Trump also kind of a white nationalist. And look, the White House or Democrats also did not force Marjorie Greene to say all the ridiculous, stupid, dangerous things that she said throughout an entire career. No. That was all Marge. All of it. As usual, with Republicans like this, like her, nothing but projection and just lies.